Qué manía tienen que poner el volumen a tope, ¿eh? Vale, subtítulos y tal, ok. Bueno chicos, ¿qué tal? Estoy aquí para traeros el Horace, que es uno de los juegos que dieron de gratis en la Epic Store. Entonces, tenía ganas de probar algo nuevo y digo, pues venga, vamos a darle a este mismo. No he mirado ni siquiera de qué va, así que a ver cómo... Resumo, creo que he visto alguna imagen de un robot o algo así, que parecía de Lego. Ah, que es su cuerpo. Está ocupado. Vale. Porque nosotros somos el robot. Somos la versión 1. Bueno, el primer modelo al menos.
And so, I was born. The first people I remember seeing were the old man, the old lady, and their daughter, Heather. After they'd said hello, the old man powered me down so he could install some software. I could tell they were nice people. The old man didn't give me a silly voice or stupid personality. And the old lady didn't dress me like a clown. Although for some reason, Heather really didn't like me. Once I'd had time to get used to walking, the old man asked me to dash from one end of the room to the other.
Vale, y hemos vuelto a la caja por algún motivo. Mira cómo corre. Yeah.
Next, the old man spent a couple of hours building some wooden platforms. He said he wanted me to jump up them, but I must admit, I was scared. It wasn't until I saw Heather and her mother happily climbing up them that I decided it might be okay.
O sea, el hombre, a saber qué edad tiene, y se pasa 2 horas construyendo plataformas de madera para probar las piernas del robot. Vale, pensaba que igual podía hacer en plan saltar de una pared a la otra.
The old man then rearranged the platforms. He told me to try to reach the other end of the room without touching the floor. Heather said, the floor's made of lava. But when I smiled at her, she just frowned and looked away. The old lady arranged some pillows and blankets. She said it was in case I fell, but I think she just wanted it to look more like lava.
No tenían preocupación por mí. Vale, solo es lava, así que... Cuidadito. Vale.
When I reached the other side, the old man just smiled and said, "That'll do, for now."
Eso servirá de momento, pero... Aprendiendo a caminar. Horacio flaco. Ah, pensaba que era... que tenía que moverme o algo. La típica escena que hasta que no te mueves no sigue. Eso era algo de
A couple
el
of days
Little
after
Pony.
those first lessons, the family had a big meal, and I was introduced to everyone else. The professor was the old man's brother. He was very quiet, and always seemed to just kind of stare at me. He had lived with the old man for 5 years. The house was so huge they barely saw each other. He preferred instead to stay in his room, leaving everything up to his butler, Mr. Deck, as he insisted everyone call him, although the professor always called him Anton. For a while, he called me the yellow bastard, but the old man made him stop, as he thought it sounded racist.
Era un robot.
Mr. Silton was the old man's driver. Before he worked here, he'd gotten in with some bad people and was the driver in a post office robbery, although it all went wrong for some reason. Mr. Silton showed me a video of his band. I'm sure some people must like it, but I just found it terrifying. Then there was Alice. She was the cook. She was a nice old lady. When she was younger, she had been a TV chef. Then, years later, she had a small part in Coronation Street. Mr. Silton said, before she worked for the old man, Alice was quite a hoarder.
Era una acumuladora
She kept
compulsiva.
old newspapers and bicycles. And something about a poo in a shoebox.
Haciendo una presentación
The next
bastante...
morning, the old man gathered everyone together to show them what I was capable of. "What else does he do?" asked Mr. Silton. The old man smiled. "He can help around the house." "Could he help me with my newspaper collecting?" asked Alice.
Porque quiere más
"I'm not
periódicos.
sure that's a good idea," said the old lady, "but he can do all sorts of jobs." "Yeah," said Mr. Silton, "shove a stick up his ass and he can do Deck's job." Now, said
Punta
the old
vista.
man, "we have company," pointing to some important-looking people. 2 large men, both called Gary, set up what the old man referred to as lasers. He said again, I should try to get from one end of the room to the other,
¿Se
but I
tocaron los
shouldn't
láseres?
be worried, as I had a special chip which meant no matter how damaged I was, I couldn't die. He said it was like infinite lives in a video game. But
Claro.
when he realized I didn't understand, he said he would explain another time.
Cuando la palmaras por primera vez o algo así, ¿no? A ver, ¿dónde están esos rayos? A ser posible que... Me gustaría que no me frieran el robot. ¡Oh! Vale. No, pensaba que se iba a acabar. Sin prisa, sin prisa. ¿No? ¿No? Listo.
Everybody clapped, except the important-looking men. Not exactly a cold, calculated killer, is it? Said the man in black. The man in grey laughed. What kind of artificial intelligence was that? He asked. Move right, unless there's something in the way. Okay, said the old man. He turned to me and whispered, they're going to make it quite a bit tougher. But I'm sure you'll be fine.
El anciano me da la sensación de que se preocupa mucho por el robot. No sé si debe ser propietario de la empresa que lo ha creado o... ¡Ostras! ¡Ay! ¡Ey! No me han enseñado a agacharme, ¿eh? No. Es que tengo miedo de que si salte demasiado arriba, me electrocutará el de arriba. Ahí, ahora. Vale, el límite es el poste. Vale, se puede caer abajo. Vale.
The guys then rearranged the room one last time.
Otra vez.
The old man smiled. Now, there's no need to look so glum, he said. I'm still happy with everything you've done today. So this time, I was determined to do him proud.
¿Eh? O sea que esta es la prueba final. Vale, a ver si no me fríen. Uf. Ahí ya me ha estado a punto de frío, ¿eh? Uf. Pequeñito. Otro pequeñito. ¡No! Justo en el más fácil. Espérate. Uf, hay que controlar un poco el salto, ¿eh?
The old man's friends actually seemed quite happy when I made it through. We might have a winner after all, said the man in black. It's no Killbot 3000, but you can almost see the fire in its eyes.
Creo que...
A couple of days later, the old lady said she had a surprise for me. My own room. She also wanted to play me some music. I wasn't sure after what Mr. Silton had shown me.
No sé si está contento o está sufriendo. No, creo que está contento.
As if music wasn't amazing enough, the old lady then bought me a television set. I couldn't believe what I saw. I watched everything I could. Comedy, drama, horror, sci-fi.
¿Has escuchado
anyone wanted to watch, I would happily watch with them. Then one day, the old man set up a small box. He plugged some cables into the television and said, "This is what I meant when I said video games." I played games at every chance I could. I took on everyone. I was unstoppable. I had enjoyed music, film, and television. But to me, video games really were the highest art form.
Bueno, ya me imaginaba que era de la época más o menos. ¿Me van a hacer jugar el juego? ¿En serio? Uf, ahora sí que me van a balizar, ¿eh? Oh. No sé si voy a poder ganar, ¿eh? Pero porque no sé si voy a tener que estar jugando hasta que me marque 3 goles él a mí. Ah, no, vale, parece que sí que puedo ganar. Venga, tengo que ganar esto, ¿eh? Bien.
Heather's birthday was a couple of months later. Her mum and dad had bought her a camera and arranged a day out by the sea so that Heather could take some photos, although I really don't think she wanted any pictures of me.
¿Por qué la hija le tiene
When
tanta
the
manía al
old man
robot?
asked the professor if he wanted to go, he frowned and said, "I can't believe you want to spend time with that thing. It could destroy the world." I wasn't sure what he meant, but the old man just smiled and said, "That's what you said about the Game Boy." Anton, how about you? "I don't think so," said Mr. Deck. "The last time I got in that car, Barry crashed us into a branch of Woolworths. I never would have gone into Woolworths of my own accord."
No sé si
The
es una
old
marca
man
conocida.
explained that the car was old and the brakes had failed, but Mr. Deck was having none of it. So Mr. Silton drove, and Alice came along for the fresh air.
Vale, hasta ahora el juego me está encantando.
I enjoyed being outside. Although, the old lady kept telling me to be careful of the rickety old walkways. It felt like she was telling me off, but I think she was just concerned.
Y la hija diciendo que no. ¿Cómo no? El hombre mirando al mar, respirando el aire puro.
As the old man and I stood on the cliff tops, I could see something in the distance. I
There's a
wasn't
barco.
sure what it was, so I asked the old man. He said it was a battleship that had sunk in the 1940s. But he looked so sad when he spoke about war. I didn't see what happened, but the metal platform Heather was climbing on had
La
collapsed.
niña.
She was safe, even if the rocks she was on looked very dangerous. The tide was rising, and we didn't know how long the Coast Guard was going to be, so I offered to climb down and get her. The old man agreed, but said I should be careful, as Heather doesn't have infinite lives, like I do.
Claro, o sea, el robot se puede morir varias veces, bueno, de formas infinitas, pero la hija no debe morir. Ah, vale, que esto se derrumba. Susto. Ah, que voy a empezar desde el principio cada vez. Vale, que tengo que correr para conseguir las distancias, vale.
Heather was unconscious, and her leg was broken. So I picked her up as gently as I could. I decided it would be best if I didn't run the rest of the way.
Que voy con la niña, no quiero que le pegue un chispazo. Vale, creo que ya estamos a salvo, sí.
An ambulance had arrived by the time I had made it back to the cliff top. The medics made sure Heather was okay, and then took her off to hospital. A few days later, we all went to see how she was doing.
Para ser
She
simpática.
was fine, but would have to wear the cast for a couple of months.
¿Qué hubiera pasado si me hubiese dado un chispazo? ¿Me hubiese salido algo así como robot torpe, robot asesino en los periódicos? ¿Es un juego de estos que tiene varias rutas? Ah, y ahora el robot es el que la empuja. Pasó el tiempo y se le curó la
Once Heather
pierna.
got to know me.
Oi.
We became good friends. We enjoyed the same films and TV. She was also annoyingly good at some of my favorite games. After a while, she became very interested in how I worked. Soon she knew as much about me as the old man did, if not more.
Uy,
We
esto
spent
acabará
the
mal.
next couple of months visiting other countries, as when it came to teaching me things, the old man always liked to pick interesting locations. He had explained the basics of mathematics to me at the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Taught me history in the dead of night, surrounded by mysterious giant stones. And even showed me science in action high up in a hot air balloon. This is why I
Cuidado.
was surprised when the old man took me to a restaurant. It was nice, but it seemed very somber compared to the previous grand locations. He said he just wanted to chat, and this was nice and quiet.
Uy.
Plus it was his favorite place to eat. We talked about life, the universe, Douglas Adams, everything really. When I asked him why were we here, why did we exist, he just smiled and said, life is like a game, just don't expect to be finished anytime soon. When I looked puzzled, he said, well, everyone should have a purpose. So I asked him, what's my purpose? He thought for a bit, then said, so you want to be a real boy? Which just confused me even more. Eventually the old man said, for now, I want you to help clean things around the house. I must have looked unimpressed, as he then said, okay, I want you to clean 1,000,000 things. It didn't sound like the meaning of life, but I suppose you've got to start somewhere.
Sí. Capítulo 2. Descubriendo mi propósito. ¿Terence Allian? ¿Milligan?
The next day, the old man said he wanted to install some more software, so he powered me down. When I came to, he said Mr. Silton had a joke for me, and that I should pull his finger. I don't think I got the joke. So the old man powered me down again. This time when I pulled Mr. Silton's finger, I got the joke. But it wasn't very funny. The old man then explained that he had installed a special chip which allowed me to clean away anything that was broken. He said it also tells me how many things are nearby, and how many smaller things are in a bigger thing. It all sounded very complicated, but he said all I really had to do was pause, and it would bring up all the information I needed. He then said he wanted me to find and clean all of the items in the room. He told me there would be some chains to climb, but that would be nice and easy, as I just had to press up. He then finished by saying, when I had collected all the items, I should come back here.
Vale. Me parece bastante sencillo. Cachivaches totales, cachivaches aquí. Y es por eso. Ah, que tengo que recoger esto. Mola. O sea. Combo de chatarra. ¡Yeah! Voy a empezar por arriba. Sí, lo he visto tarde. Ya me voy a esperar a que vuelva el chispazo, vale. Pero cuando más grande es el objeto, más tiempo tarda en recogerlo. Mientras que si es algo pequeñito, no tarda tanto. Ah, es por eso que esto tampoco se me había recogido antes, vale. Vale, pensaba, me voy a tener que coger esa pelota de baloncesto. Vale, ahora faltan las bolsas estas que no he recogido antes. Por no saber lo de qué tenía que esperar. Seis cachivaches me faltan. Diría que ya lo tenía todo. Uf, pues se me ha ido un pelo. Ah, he quedado una lata pequeña por aquí. Estoy pensando que creo que ya sé dónde puede estar el otro, el que me falta. Una teoría, ¿eh? Pero... ¡Ay! No. Ah, efectivamente. Uy, esto no está funcionando. Me he dado cuenta que el chat no está bien sincronizado. Ahora. Vale, y ahora sí que si le doy aquí, perfecto, 0. Digo, si no está en la zona que conozco, estará justo detrás.
The old man then asked the old lady Heather and I to follow him outside. I was happy too, as it was a lovely hot day.
Este robot tiene como mucha opinión sobre todo lo que hace, ¿no?
The old man said he was worried that Alice had been hoarding again. She had filled up a small barn with old bicycles and newspapers. Heather said, this would be a perfect chance to properly test my new powers. The old man thought for a second, then said, using the steptoe chip, I should find and clean at least 300 things. When we explained to Alice what we wanted to do, she seemed scared. But after the old lady kindly explained that, well, the barn was starting to smell, she said it would be okay. One last thing, said the old man. If you want to use a door, just push up. When I was about to enter the old barn, Mr. Silton said he had seen some mushrooms growing inside. He asked me to give him any that I found. He then winked, but I wasn't sure why.
Setas. Oh, me encanta esta música. Vale, es verdad, he bajado a la guardia. Vamos a empezar por aquí. de pleno. Bueno, no me han enviado la entrada. A las sedas. Me gusta la elección de música que han puesto para el juego, ¿eh? Ahí me queda enganchado. Perfecto. Creo que lo tenemos todo.
The old man was very happy with everything that I had cleaned. But I think Mr. Silton was even more happy with his mushrooms.
Un momento, ¿esa seta no es venenosa? Me imagino que esas son hojas de otoño.
It wasn't the days getting shorter, or the evenings getting colder. It was the falling leaves that really made me feel sad. As we watched the trees blowing in the breeze, the old lady said, "The leaves must fall before the blossom comes." She had already explained the seasons to me, so for once, I actually understood. But it didn't make me feel any better. The old lady obviously had enough of my moping, and said, "Right, next week we're going to have a party."
Ah, vale, venga.
For some reason she insisted that we were all going to wear costumes. Heather was very excited and said, "I've got some perfect ideas."
Aquí era de robot. Ah, que digo, qué miedo la música ahora. Halloween. Ah, pues no es tan siniestro
It
como
was
me esperaba.
terrifying. Everyone was dressed like somebody
Era
else.
terrorífico.
I think I was meant to be some kind of pumpkin, as everyone
Anda, pues
kept
si va disfrazado
shouting,
del...
"It's the great
¿Cómo se decía? El del
pumpkin."
Snoopy. Y eso
Still,
va de Doctor Who.
At least Mr. Silton was having fun telling everyone his joke,
Vampiro.
and I suppose
Faraón.
Heather's costume was quite
Y
flattering.
efectivamente la hija va de robot.
After what seemed like forever, everybody left, and things got back to normal. Heather was allowed to watch a scary film before she went to bed, but I had to help Alice and Mr. Deck clean up.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
I wasn't happy about this, but the old man said if I was quick, then I could watch the end of the film with them.
O sea, que ahora tenemos contrarreloj, ¿puede ser?
Alice was vacuuming, and Mr. Deck was taking down the decorations. So I thought I should clean up the plates and glasses.
Vale, tenemos objetivo. Aguadaña también, por algún motivo. No sé, debe ser... Así que digo, ahí he visto que había algo que brillaba.
The ear-splitting sound was the fire alarm. As usual, Mr. Deck blamed Mr. Silton, saying he was probably smoking one of his jazz cigarettes. But then the professor appeared. He said that there was something burning in the kitchen. Alice looked confused, saying that she hadn't cooked anything since the morning. We were all surprised when Mr. Deck opened the oven. Inside was a large black cloak and a slightly burnt pair of men's underwear. Suddenly the old lady burst in. She looked terrified. She kept shouting, "There's someone on the roof." When we went outside, it slowly became obvious that it was Mr. Silton. He was completely naked and playing his guitar.
Oh no.
He
Tendría que haber
shouted
evitado
down,
las setas.
"When I finish this song, I'm going to fly." The old lady said, "Oh my God, I know this one. There's only about 30 seconds left."
Tengo 30
The
segundos para
old
subir
man
arriba,
then
quizá.
quickly turned to me and said, "You know
¿No voy a
what
poder
to do."
llegar? Mira. ¿Pero cómo voy a pasar a través de esto? Ah, espera. Mierda. ¡No! ¡Mierda! ¡No! ¡No, no, 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 no! ¡Ah! ¡Ostras, menos mal puedo repetirlo! Susto, o sea que incluso si fallo... Vale, eso significa que no tiene caminos alternativos, simplemente me dan varias oportunidades. Ahora sí me alegra de no haber chamuscado antes a la niña por las descargas.
By the time I had made it up to the roof, Mr. Silton was beside
¡Me he quedado a
me.
nada antes!
I tried
¡Qué
to
rabia!
calm him down, but he was acting even more bizarre than usual.
Las setas. ¿No? ¿No? Salva idiota local.
After an hour or so, Mr. Silton was fine. He said he had eaten some bad magic mushrooms. Part of me wondered why he hadn't doubled in size. Still, he was soon laughing.
Ah, eso
and
era una
joking
referencia a
with the
Mario.
paramedics.
Lo de las
One
setas
of them said
mágicas.
he looked like the world's worst clown. I don't think Mr. Silton liked that. So he told his own joke. But that just made the other paramedic call him Marshmallow Marso. I don't think he liked that either. But at least he was still in one piece.
¿No?
A month or so
Yo no he hecho
later,
nada,
Heather and I were playing video games when the old man said he wanted me to come outside. He said it had been a year since I had arrived, so he had a present for me.
A pesar que eran
He
zapatos.
placed the teddy bear high up on a wooden platform. He then told me I should try to pick
¿Pero
it
qué
up.
obsesión tiene este hombre con las plataformas de madera? Me encanta la música. A ver. Vale, no puedo usar esta puerta.
Try as I might, I couldn't reach the teddy bear.
Ah,
However,
super salto.
I still don't understand what happened next.
Tío, llama a alguien. Te está dando un ataque. ¿A qué le da un cortocircuito justo ahora? Incluso el gruñón está triste. Pero no lo dejarán ahí. Meterla en la casa aunque sea, ¿no? Son los técnicos. Vale. ¿Dónde va el otro con el martillo, loco? ¿Qué hacen? ¿Qué hacen? El otro, ¿no? Ya. Pero, tío. O sea, mientras están enterrando al anciano, vosotros le estáis dando martillazos al robot. Uy, esos son los miembros de la banda.